Shishkin is coming on the outside. Constitution Hill still in hand here.
Sir Gerhard with a growing advantage.
But Honeysuckle is galloping clear as she races towards the last.
This is the last for John Bond, and he is over.
But this is Tiger Roll at the final fence, up and over safely. A 5th Cheltenham Festival success.
Right, so this is the preview for day 4. Again, the racing TV video would have been at the beginning. It's not a paid advert. I'm just doing it to be nice. We're here. We've made it to the Friday. 4th video, 4th Moretti, and it's going to be the 4th nap landed for me. As we've done with the previous 3 days, we're going to swerve through and we're going to say what our naps are. But I feel like we could all say it together. We could do 1, 2, 3, the gopher, the gopher. That's my nap anyway. Right, someone else give us something more likely. Ian, what do you fancy?
Constatista, Mare's Chase.
Yes, like it, Matt.
Party Central, County Hurdle.
Oh,
no.
the conflict. John?
Galvin, Gold Cup.
Oh. We're definitely coming to you first in the Gold Cup after that. Right, we're going to kick off with the Triumph, which, said it many a time, but it looks like it's going to be an absolute beast of a race. I think we all know who wins the race. I'm not going to say anything. I'll be interested to know what you guys say in the order. So, Ian, we're going to go with you first.
Well, I originally backed Fildor about 11-1, and I thought that was the absolute odds nailed on winner. And then Dublin Racing Festival happened and didn't go quite to plan. But just I can't get away from Pied Piper. So beating Vauban and in the previous race, and Vauban obviously turning the form back and beating Fildor. I think that's the one. Very ultra impressive at Cheltenham. Granted, may have beaten some trees, but it was just Davey didn't move a muscle. He was so impressive. So I can't just get away from Pied Piper. And maybe the an each way shout could be the Elated Tomp that was 3rd in the Dublin Racing Festival for Mullins could be a good shout. But yeah, Pied Piper for me.
Ooh, Matt.
No actual bet in the race, to be honest, Dave. I'm pretty gutted. Night Salute when I won on the weekend because I wanted him to go to the Boodles. Did like Fildor originally in the start of the season, but held off from backing him. Just looking at the race between Vauban and Pied Piper, where Pied Piper come out on top. Apparently, jockey Paul Townsend said that his mount received interference all the way down the straight against Pied Piper. Now, Pied Piper come out and was extremely impressive at Cheltenham. There's no doubt about that. Vauban was really, really impressive at the Dublin Racing Festival as well. So they both obviously improved for them. But for me, I'm going to go with Vauban to win.
Nice. So we've got one of each so far. So it's probably you with the casted vote, John.
I'm sure Matty's changed his mind on this.
On further looking, yes.
Like Porticello and Night Salute have done quite well, haven't they? But I always find that the Irish horses have probably got a stone in hand on them. They always seem to be just that much better in this race. The top 2 in the market, I really, really can't decide, to be honest. I mean, Pied Piper, very impressive, but would Vauban and even Fildor have done the same to those horses at Cheltenham if they'd have come over instead? Probably would. Yeah, Vauban, very impressive on when he beat Fildor last time. But he strikes me as a horse that, he could be a little bit of a complicated horse. You know, he had a tongue tied on second run. He does jump a little bit to his right. And I know Fildor was beaten 3 lengths, but once Vauban got to sort of 3 lengths ahead, he didn't really extend anymore. And, Fildor kept on sort of same pace and didn't really get that much further behind, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to stick with him, just hoping that a stronger pace and the extra furlong will play to his strengths. And I'm just going to side with Fildor. I'm going to stick with him. I still think he's a decent each way price. He's an each way to nothing because I'm pretty confident he's going to be in the first 3, so you'll get your money back worst case. and he could win. So I'm going with Fildor.
Nice. Well, it wasn't a deciding vote then, because that's 3 that have been mentioned. My view on it is I like that December maiden where Pied Piper and Vauban run against each other. Mr. Adjudicator and Farclas run against each other before. Then they did the juvenile, which we saw at the Spring Juvenile at Dublin Race Festival. So it's like a similar profile of those two. I just think these two are just going to bat out. I agree with you, John, that I think there's something a bit weird about Vauban, because he didn't jump that great at the Dublin Race Festival, but clearly he's got a monster engine. Then Willie comes out and says that this is most horses' Derby the Triumph, but I've got big plans for this horse. Willie does not say anything really, unless he's specifically asked. So for him just to offer that sort of stuff up scares me a little bit, to be honest with you. Makes me think that this horse is an absolute monster. So I've got to still side with Vauban, even though I know logically, there could be something a little bit complicated about him. But in saying that, Pied Piper, when he did run at Cheltenham, when I watched the first half of the race and Davy was at the back, he wasn't jumping that great. And part of me was like, this is a classic Davy Russell, get him stuck behind horses, get him beat and get a mark. But obviously he won so well. So maybe because of the fact they're juveniles, neither of them are that straightforward. But I would side with Vauban. So it looks like it could be quite an open race then.
Yes. Looks like we're winning, Dave.
We are, yeah, obviously. The two that haven't had a wager in it yet. We're not invested. The way to do it. I am annoyed though, because again, there's been periods in this season where I've wanted to get stuck into a couple. And again, in that January video we did, I mentioned them too. They were 25s and 16s after the December run. And now they're 6-4 joints, whatever they are. Bastards. Right. County Hurdle. I have, it's probably not going to run, but if it ran, it would win. And earlier on, there was some mentions from you guys about some horses and pieces of form and stuff, which really leads to this horse being the only horse that could possibly win it. But I will come back to me. No, well, no, I don't think you'll be there. Again, recency bias, all that sort of stuff takes over. So, Ian, I'm going to come to you first. Have you got any stats for us or not?
Well, I've only realised today I backed a horse called No Ordinary Joe, JP horse that ran at Cheltenham and come third, but I don't think it's been declared. So I've had to have a rethink. I agree with, I've put Party Central. If it comes here, I'll definitely back it. The other note I've put is Mullins always likes a plot in this race, so potentially you could have State Man come here rather than the Supreme. But one I like, that could potentially have the John Bond line of form, and has won twice at Cheltenham, is I Like to Move It. The Twiston Davis horse. I think this could have a great shout. It's a tough race, they're always really tough.
Yeah, it is a tough one. It can go to some classy horses though, can't it? And I know
Definite.
We'll come on to some other ones when you guys mention them, because I don't want to just talk about everything and mention them. But John, anything you like?
Yeah, there is actually. Now, this one's entered still in the Supreme, still in the Ballymore, and still in the Champion Hurdle. Now, and then got an entry in the county as well. Now, after his run last time, which was a very, very strange run, which I'll come to in a minute, they then straight away asked for his handicap mark after that race. It came out the Monday after, because I think the Irish marks come out, don't they, on the Monday after the Sunday. And he was given 141. Now, I think that they realised this horse isn't quite good enough for the likes of the novice hurdle races, so they're going to chuck him in here. And that's my mate Mozzie. I think if he turns up in this race, he will be an absolutely cracking bet. I think he's about 14-1. I just think he'd be thrown in. His last race, if you watch it against when he lost to Gerhard, they totally changed the tactics on him completely. They held him up, and he just wasn't put in the race. He just went for a run round. And my thinking behind it was they'd already thought about this ahead. And if they got close to Sir Gerhard, then he definitely wouldn't be on 141. He'd be in the 150s, wouldn't he, or late 149s. And I think they've just realised that this is their best opportunity of winning a race for this horse. So I'm really, really keen on my mate Mozzie for this if he turns up.
Nice. And yeah, to be fair, he's one of those, because it wasn't exactly like a proper summer horse win. It was October's first win, wasn't it? But I just couldn't warm to him. But everyone was talking about him being a supreme horse. I thought, it's all too early for that. But Gavin Cromwell's very smart at getting him to peak at the right times. So You could be honest like that. And Saint War as well. That's the one that wound me up so much when Willie won the county with him, because I was told that was their supreme horse. Then he flopped, and then obviously they decided after that, let's obviously steer him towards this. So quite like that. Matt, have you found anything in the county for us?
Well, yeah, I did say my nap was Party Central for today.
Oh yeah, you did.
The only thing against her is she's won her last run before the festival, because only 3 out of 12 have won. But again, that's only a guide. I did think the Coral Cup originally when she first won at the Dublin Racing Festival, but I definitely watched it. Sure, Gordon Elliott name checked the County Hurdle as a target. Now she is off 135 plus tax. Could be a nice little mark that coming in, but we'll know more tomorrow. And then just having another look through now, there's one that is, it's probably the obvious bet. It's glaring out at me at 7-1 with, that's with Hills. What price is she? Best price. Have a look. 10-1 best price, and that is Echoes in Rain. I'm sure she was tipped up to be a champion hurdle horse at the start of the season, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Going back to last year, well, last season, sorry, in April, she won the Merchant Sleepson's Champion Hurdle Grade 1 to Colonel Mustard by 3 1/4 lengths. The Blue Lord behind. I just think 10-1 could be a great price about it, to be fair, along with my Party Central.
Nice. Team for the girls. However, I have already told you that I've got the winner if it runs. And the best bit about this is we were in a pub in Cheltenham when the owner of the horse told us he was going to win the Greatwood Hurdle. Well, he didn't win the Greatwood Hurdle. And then we Googled the guy's name and we reckon it actually was him. Just some crazy drunk guy that told us he was Jack Singleton. And we think he was. Jesse Evans wins the county if Noel Mead decides to run him. He was like well backed favourite for the Greatwood and obviously didn't win. Quite, you'd say like fairly well beaten, but let's not forget that was old course. This will be the new course. Look at Cormier in that Greatwood, who was also well fancied. As soon as you stick him on the new course, it's a different beast. Some horses don't like it. But also, if we go back to the Greatwood and look at some of the form that's in there as well, Botox has just won the other day. Marie's Rock's come out and won since. Glory and Fortune's gone out and won the Betfair Hurdle. There's winners teeming out of that race. So the typical spring round would suit. It's got the entry in the race. I pray that they run it. I'd be pretty bullish about this horse winning. It's got entries in the Coral Cup and the County Hurdle, but there's nothing to suggest that the horse wants a trip at all. It runs on the flat. I need to crop this bit. So 143 it ran off in the Greatwood. It's 140 in Ireland. You'd think that his mark can't be any higher than 143 given it was beaten in the Greatwood. So Jesse Evans about 20s, maybe 25s. If it runs, Jesse Evans wins. Facts of life.
I'll have to back that with it being Evans.
Oh,
exactly.
I've got to. There's no way
I've sold that with the Greatwood form, because Barley Andy also come out and won the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, and admittedly they're all over like different trips and stuff where they're coming out and winning. But I think the Greatwood form's all right, and they really fancied Jesse Evans that day. It was like a reasonable amount of money, and it hasn't run since. So I would suspect that there was something wrong with him in the race, and they've obviously have to keep him off. But who knows? 2.5 lengths behind Saudia once in his life. So we'll take that as boosty form. Anyway, we'll move on to my favourite race of the festival, although this year I'm much more lacklustre because I've not been able to have about 80 darts at any post. The Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle. Jeez. I always like to look at this one right at the declarations because I still think you could pick up some value. I haven't got myself too stuck into it yet because we're not at final declaration. So I don't have anything left field to chuck in there as a winner. So apologies for that.
Once we've finished in a minute.
Oh, go on then, Matt. Have you got one you like?
Well, this isn't the main. I'm keen on. I've got to put Harlow Games up because I put him up at the start of the season. He has underperformed the last few runs, but I'm sticking with him. I put him up at a price on our channel. I think he's a great UX price, but Bardenstown Lad's still available at 14-1. He's a proper stayer, this lad. He's won at Cheltenham. He has... When did he go over hurdles?
Attention.
July, 1. August, 1. Navan in September come third behind Tullybeg. Over 2 miles 6, and then come over to Cheltenham in October, 1. And then he's come out in February, a nice little pipe opener, and he's won by 11 lengths at Musselburgh. He's just a dour stay. He finds off the bridle. I know it has turned into a bit more of a classier race over time. Will Hillcrest come here, or do you think they'll keep him after his last run at Haydock? Journey with Me isn't probably going here. They've said the Ballymore, haven't they? I just think he's still available at 14 to 1. We're all on him at 50, so we're quite happy. But I still think there's a little bit of juice left in at 14 to 1 there. Bardenstown lad. Which way?
Cannot see it for the life of me. The thing, it makes me laugh as well. I won't say it makes me laugh. Hopefully it does go in and go well, because a lot of people are mentioning him as well, aren't they now? I cannot see it. Anywho,
made for the race.
But he might be, but he's nowhere near good enough, is he? Well,
you're not going to agree with the other two then.
Ian, what's your favourite fancy for this race?
Well, I echo what Matty said. So we had 2 horses we backed right at the beginning of the season. One was Bardenstown Land at 50 to 1, just after it won at Cheltenham. And we also backed Hollow Games as well at 33 to 1. And so Bardenstown, so I echo what Matty said, Bardenstown's been impressive this season. Again, won at Cheltenham and then one previously. Hollow Games is crying out for this trip. Crying out. So it's going over 2 mile 5, 2 mile 6 trips at the Dublin Racing Festival. Clearly seat needs further at 3 mile, but the other 2 I've got big each way. If I was to have one on the day, could be, like Matty said, Hillcrest. I think it's absolute beast of a horse, and again has form at Cheltenham. I know it fell at Cheltenham as well, but it's come out and won since. But I'm happy with the 2 I've got at big prices. I know you don't like Barnestown now, but that's crazy. It was a crazy price we got it on, and it's still a crazy price now. I think it should be right up there.
Yeah, again, I could see it. I could see the Hollow Games thing from the beginning of the season as well. But I did some. Again, it's all like irrelevant statty stuff in it. But the horses that have won with 2 bumper wins or a couple of bumper runs were all second season novices, and I can't have. I do like him. I do think he's a very nice horse, but I'll just be more pissed off if Hollow Games wins it, because that would have been one I would have backed anti-post. But if he might even get in the Martin Pipe. Imagine that. But he needs the trip, doesn't he? He needs the trip to bring out the improvement.
He needs the trip.
Crying out for 3 mile.
Go on, John. What do you fancy?
Oh, sorry to do this to you, Dave, but I'm on the same train as these two, I'm afraid. We've pretty much followed like the same. This is one race where we all agree on, really. And Hollow Games, I agree. I'm not gone off him as such, but I'm maybe not as keen on him as I was earlier in the season. I do, however, think he will make a nice chase. I know it's an old cliche, but he will make a nice chase next year. And maybe that's when we'll see the best of him. But I'm quite happy to have him on side at a big price. Bardenstown, I just think he's great. I do. I mean, he's been over here. He's won. He's been at the course. He finds off the bridle. What more can you ask for a horse in this race? I know maybe you do need a bit more class, but I just think he's got a great chance. I really do. And I still think he's a reasonable price at 14. I'm happy to have them 2 on my side. Of the others, this Manila Crooner that people keep talking about, like I said on our video, I think he's just one of those horses that you can never find a trip for. He always seems to be staying on. And, he's like a bit like what Fakira was like last year, where you say, oh, step him up another 2 furlongs and he'll stay on and win. And then he does the same again. And then he just seems to get outpaced at the critical stage of the race and then can't get up. I just think I wouldn't be backing out either of them two, to be honest. The other one is a live outsider that I've got down is Chartreuse. I thought he did that quite nicely last week when he won. I think he would have a good chance. And you do find horses like that winning this, don't you? They just sort of appear from nowhere last minute and put it all in on the day. You know, we've had quite a few big price winners over the years, so I wouldn't be put off by him either. But it's anyone's race, this. But if I had to pick one, it'd have to be Bardenstown. Dave's not convinced at all.
I was just looking through there, and I noticed Harry Skelton mentioned him today as well. Harley Griffin Cottage at 25 to 1. They're quite sweet on him, and I think, wasn't the assistant trainer on Luck on Sunday or something?
Yes, he was.
Well, and he mentioned him. He finished third on his hurdle debut back in December, beaten 6 1/4 lengths by Blazing Cal. He was looking like going to be favourite for this race, wasn't he? During the season before he was ruled out. And he after that race, he went and run next time out at Lingfield over 3 miles. He could have an each way squeak.
Yeah, maybe. I just haven't got too stuck into the race just yet. That Chantrice that ran, that was in the Mercedes-Benz novice hurdle, and that's a race that I do quite like to look at. And there was Mr. Fred Rogers died in that, didn't he? Unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I looked at Chantrice and I was keen on him pre-race, but then I don't really think they beat too much in there. The horse that he did beat, Ivan, was the one that Manella Crooner spanked over the same trip, 3 miles, beaten by 11 lengths, but Manella Crooner was never even asked. That was before he ran at the Dublin Racing Festival. So I think, if anything, it's just made me more and more keen on Manella Crooner, but he's just so short. I feel like I've got to try and find something to go against him. But I think he looks a fairly solid favourite. And I know it's not particularly a race that you might want to go for favourites historically, but we'll just have to see. Again, I'll leave it till nearer the time to start getting stuck into something at bigger prices, but I can't get away.
If Hillcrest rocks up here, we've got to take a serious look at him.
True, but I'm not sold on him either. That unseat that he had at Cheltenham was the softest unseat you will ever see in your life. I reckon the horse is massive. I reckon the horse is not necessarily clumsy, but I can't imagine him in a big field at Albert Bartlett when there's 20 of them going around the track. If he can fall over when he's got one horse next to him, I don't trust his temperament, to be honest. But who bloody knows? So it's sad for me. I don't really want to say it, but I think Manella Crooner looks a good thing for the Albert.
You're not putting up grand jury, Dave?
I did put up grand jury. He was so bad, wasn't he? Woeful.
Handicap.
Yeah, I am handicapped. Thank you.
No.
No, yeah, he was woeful. The step up, I don't know if it's the step up in Trip didn't see him or what it was, but yeah, he was horrific. Let's move on to the Gold Cup so we can get John's. Basically, John can tell us what price he's backed Galvin at first.
40s.
Oh, what an animal! Well played, that man.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick holes again with most of them in this, can't you? Because a lot of them have been beaten over the season, but you tend to get that with a Gold Cup, don't you? They take each other on quite a bit and over various sort of distances and courses. But I just think he's the improver. He's got the course form, obviously, from last year. He won that smartly last year. You'll have Davey in the saddle, and so he won't be, wanting for somebody getting stuck in if it's tight in a finish, like he showed when he beat A. Plutard. The extra 2 furlongs will suit from that race as well, no doubt. He gets up the hill. And I do like this stat with unexposed horses that have never been in a Gold Cup before, being thrown in first time and winning. It's happened a lot over the last sort of 10, 15 years. I think the stat is only Native Rivers done it in recent times, where he raced, placed, or finished down the field, and then he came back the next year for another go and won. But, you don't get that too often. Obviously, Alboom won and then won again. But I just think, Galvin, he has got people like knocking him still. And I don't see why he's being knocked, because I just think he's been brilliant this year. And I just think he's got everything to win this race. And I'm really, really confident of him winning this. I think Indo will be the one who runs in close. I'm not keen on A Plutard, really. I'm not sure he stays fully, to be honest with you. We'll see again this year whether he does. He might be a sort of Jackadam type horse where he finishes second or third quite a lot, but never actually wins it. But yeah, it's Galvin for me, and hopefully Al Boom runs a good race as well, because I'm fond of him. He's one of my favourite horses as well. So yeah, that's it for me on this one.
Nice. Ian, who do you fancy in the Gold Cup? Are you on Galvin at massive prices as well?
Well, I have to give John credit. He did put us on, it was one of the first bets I think I've done. We're at 40 to 1. So I'm more than happy with how Galvin's gone on this season and won. But I put up since the Savills Chase, not Savills Chase, the Betfair Chase, I beg your pardon. I'm in the A Plutard camp. So, pull in the face. I think it was ultra impressive in the Betfair Chase, and Galvin that was an unbelievable ride from Davey in the Savills that day, and I thought A Plutard was going to win that one comfortably. But just to see it's second last year in the Gold Cup, I think Rachel's going to do it for this year. I think A Plutard for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you, to be honest. Matty?
Yeah, John mentioned Galvin earlier on the season. I completely wrote him off and said, no, he'll be targeted towards the Grand National. Didn't bother. So that's gone. I'm Manila Indo. Backed him last year. Yeah. Think he comes alive, doesn't he, at Cheltenham? Has he won twice? Come second?
Yep, Gold Cup, Albert Bartlett.
Yeah. Ran a lot better last time out in the Irish Gold Cup. Noticed Puppy Power rode him there, because obviously he'll be riding him at the festival as well. So Henry did say if Jack would come available, then he would obviously think about jumping to him. Still available 5 to 1. I think he takes the beating in this race, to be honest, Dave.
Yeah, I do like Manila Indo. I think Manila Indo and the Pluto are obviously the two to take out from last race. I mean, admittedly, they were first and second, weren't they? But Manila Indo's most recent run was pretty good, wasn't it? I've got one for you at 66 to 1.
Well,
Cantino.
Just to keep people viewing.
I've got one at 50s if he runs in it as well.
Well, I was talking to Daryl the other day, and then he said, I've got one at a stupid price in the Gold Cup. You won't know what it is. And I said, I know what it is, but I'll let you say it first. And I had it up on my page. It's Franco de Port.
No, really?
Right. So if let's remember, let's not forget that we always talk about UK tax. He's 158 rated in Ireland. He's only a 7-year-old. So just chuck some UK tax on. Let's just say he's a 160 horse. He was battered in that grade 1 at Christmas, but Bryony rode him. Bryony came over and rode him against Allaho in that John Durkin beginning of the season. But then more recently, when they stuck him in the handicap, he was not beaten too far by Longhouse Poet. He ran in the Arkle last year, 5th, 40 lengths behind Shishkin, but he's not an Arkle horse. However, before that, he was only 10 lengths behind Energumene. So there's 30 lengths to split Shishkin and Energumene. Only 4.5 lengths behind Janadil in the novice grade 1. Got some okay form as a novice hurdler, but I think staying is his game. He's pretty unexposed considering he's had the 9 chase starts because he's not run too much at the trip. I think 66 one's just stupid. I could just see him going well and running well for quite a way. Probably shouldn't be good enough to win the race, but it's an extra couple of furlongs as well, and another furlong and a half. I think the extra trip will suit him, because if you watch that race back at Gowran Park, he stayed on. That was the Estes Chase. He stayed on, and if there'd have been another furlong and a half, I know we talked about the Energumene thin at Ascot, and it wasn't because it's a different track, but if it had been another furlong and a half longer, he would have won that day. So he's just way too big a prize, I think. And I think a Plutard, I couldn't back him at 3s. Manila Indo maybe at 5s, but can't have Galvin because he was 40 to 1 and now he's 4s. If you were on him, you should have been on him before. Can't be backing him now. Well done to anyone that did get on, but bollocks to you. This is another one where I'll be back in the Guinness Village just watching the race as opposed to getting stuck in. I tend to not do too well in the Gold Cup. I did have Native River when he beat Mike Bite. I had Native River the year before. He was one of the ones I backed at a big price. He was 40s at the start of the season, went off about 4 to 1, I think, or 9 to 2, and then goes and gets beat. I just see Galvin being like him, we'll be there or thereabouts, but something's got to be Galvin for me. I mean, I hope it doesn't for you guys.
You just saying about Franco de Port. Do you think Brian Cooper will jock up, or do you think it'll still be Bryony?
I mean, I hope to. Yeah, I can swear. I hope the fuck it's not Bryony.
Brian, you saying about behind Janadil, Brian Cooper was on that day.
Yeah, and he was
I
behind
wonder-
Energamine as well.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll be on.
Because that was the thing that John Durkin, because Willie obviously had the gallop relay, didn't he? And there was a delay start of the season. He ran everything basically in that John Durkin, and Bryony was over there with it. The funny thing was, I looked at the market, it got nibbled as well in that John Durkin. Like, it wasn't massive, but exchanges were like strong towards the SP sort of price. Then when they ran after, tried him at 3 miles, he made a massive mistake in the race as well. So he was well beaten, but there was no need to do anything mind him. And with all respect to Bryony Frost, we saw at the Dublin Race Festival, I know Nichols horses are banned. She was up on the inside, wasn't she? She's got no clue how to ride Leopardstown. So complete and utter line through that. And then that run the last day with Paul Townend back on top, much, much more like him. So I think there's worse 6 to 1 posts, especially considering Matt might say Santini. I reckon he'll beat him in a race.
No. Tough Santini.
The one at a
Much
price.
better.
The one at a price. If he goes here, go with the unexposed thing in the Gold Cup that John was going on about. He's beaten only 5 lengths by Galvin and Applutard at Leopardstown in the saddles, and it's Mellon. I think if you can get extra places on the day and he runs in it, I think he's a cracking bet each way.
I
I love
that.
Mellon, man.
I do as well. I think he's
You
ace.
can forget if you take away his run when he's pulled up behind Alho last year, because Alho was ridiculous. Has he finished top 2 every time? At Cheltenham?
Always second, then always the bridesmaid, Mellon.
If you can get extra
I'll
places
back
on
him
the day,
extra
if you can get
places.
extra places on the day and he's around
Yeah.
50 to 1, I think he'd be cracking each way bet.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
back him at that.
Going off his form behind Applutard and Galvin in the saddle anyway.
Yeah, I'll definitely back him. I think because I put him up last year with Delta work, and neither the Bellends ran, did they? But yeah, I like Mellon. I think they long said about sticking him up in trip, didn't they? So he'll get a couple of quid as well. Boom, Foxhunters. I did do my nap, didn't I? I did a novelty nap. I've got an actual nap for the Friday, even better than the Gopher. Bob and Co. shit Simon the Foxhunters.
Oh, I hope so. I want to see Maxi win.
Oh
I'd
yeah,
love
big
to see
time.
Maxi win, to be fair. Like.
The
So
place will go
I'm-
nuts.
I'm fairly keen on him. There's like, you can't really be confident of what I say. Really, you cannot be confident in the Foxhunters. But like Bob and Co. last year, Sean Bowen unseated, I think, didn't he? And it was annoying because the amateurs couldn't ride. He goes and beats Billoway at Punchestown after. So goes up. Like David Maxwell flies over there and goes and gives him a schooling. Like Bob and Co.'s a very, very, very good horse. David Maxwell's more and more accomplished every single year. You can get 12 to 1 with Bet365. This horse will not go off bigger than 4 or 5 to 1. I really like him. I definitely think he wins. You cannot get too excited about the Foxhunters, but I've had a 50 on him at 12 to 1. That'll probably be my only bet in the race.
Yeah,
Ian, anything from you?
mate.
Yeah.
I
You love
think
the Foxhunters.
I think Dave Maxwell should go on Dolphin Square. I think he's the better horse than Bob and Co. myself, but see, I've got here he's ran 4 times in 6 weeks and won. I think it's either 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, including at Cheltenham. I think he's daft. If he's going to send Dolphin Square to Aintree, I think he's mad. I'll do the other way round.
It's not qualified, is it?
No, but the
He's
one
not-
I like,
he's left. He's got Shantou Flyer in, and he's got Bob and Co. Shantou Flyer's there if anything happens to Bob and Co. in it.
there's one I like, but I have to blame Gavin Lynch because he's put it up and the price is absolutely smashed in. But I tried to look for some value, and so I've got here Late Night Passes in there, hasn't run since April 21. Porlock Bay, I don't believe, is running. Staker Wallace is up there, not run since May 21. How on earth Billoway is the favourite? I don't know. So
Don't rob mine.
I can't find anything else that beats Swing Leader itself. So he's beat Billoway by 12 lengths. It's won its last 5. This is one of point to point in November, and this style. I can't see anything that's going to beat it. But funny enough, there's an each way one I like.
Rob it,
Same trainer, same jockey that's with it, which was Barry O'Neill. As the same owner, and it's called Full Select. 14-1. So it's had a pipe opener in December, over 2 mile 5. There's won a Hunters Chase at Fairinghouse, won a point-to-point at Point Rush in October. I think the trainer here and owner could have a 1-2 here.
Oh, how have you looked that far down the runners in the Hunter Chase here? Matt, you got anything you like?
Yeah, I've also that.
Good man.
He's run over 3 mile, 1, 2, 5 times over 3 mile. He has, the last time he lost over that distance was October 2020. And he's run over 2 mile 5 in December this year. I think just to blow away the cobwebs, get him spot on for this. I just think he's a great bet, 16-1, mate, each way.
Nice. John, you excited about the Foxhunters?
Not at all, mate. This is where I'll be in the Guinness Village, I think.
Nice.
It's although I had the winner last year, which was probably the first time with Paul Bay, and I would back him again, but I don't think he's running, is he? Have they said they're skipping this for Aintree?
They're not. He's not definitely said it. He reckons he's not seen out his races this year, so he's worried about running him again and then having to skip Aintree.
Yeah,
well, I think Aintree is the preference.
He did lose, didn't he, at Bangor, was it? But he was giving weight away in that, so maybe you could excuse that for him. And the other one I liked is Injured, which was Highway Duel. I thought that would have a great chance, but that's got a small knock and won't be going. So I sort of did a bit of looking through as well, the same as the lads did, and I came across one called Premier Magic, and that actually beat Paul at Bay at a fantastically named Chaddersley Corbett in a point last December. So I've come down on him. He's only had 2 starts under rules, and he's got a win and a third to his name. So I'm going for him. It's just a bit of a random stab, this one. It's nothing strong at all. It's one to have a 5 each way on, isn't it? And just put your feet up and watch it.
Boom. All Team Maxwell. I think Paul Nicholls' recent stats as well. There's Sporting Life or someone did a little top trainer stat thing, and it just makes me laugh looking in the background when they do Paul Nicholls' top race, the Foxhunters. Like, he's won the Gold Cup so many times, but in recent years, because of Pasha de Polder, they're saying that if you want to back Paul Nicholls at Cheltenham, you back him in the Foxhunters. All aboard Bob and Co. You can't lose. Follow the stats.
Yeah, I hope he wins, though. I do for Maxi, because the place will just go into meltdown, won't it? If he wins.
Oh yeah. Again, we've got the treble. We've got Tiger Roll. What was the second? Oh, Paisley Park and Bob and Co.
Yeah,
there you go, Trixie.
Oh, I cannot believe we're allowed to even record this stuff and put it out to people. Why are people allowed an opinion? Right, Mare's Chase, considering we've been talking about the Foxhunters, this is probably more guff than the Foxhunters. I'm annoyed that they ever brought it into the play. Just let the girls run against the boys if they really want to race, because there's a Ryanair, there's the Novices Chase for over 2.5. Annoying race. But I do think I feel like I know what most people are going to say, but I like Concertista for it. I think she's a proper horse. She can do it over any trip, any ground. I like her. What do you guys fancy? Matt, I'll start with you. You're disgusted with me.
Ellie May, mate, she just wins.
Maybe.
After she won last time out, she's come out and said there's no Colreevy in it this year.
Yeah, that was a good comment, wasn't it?
So, and he did, I think it's come out that Concertista did have a setback earlier, didn't she? Because she ran over hurdles and she scored over hurdles and fences recently. But they've said she is fine after it. She scored well, but that'd be a slight worry.
No, it wouldn't worry me. I'd be more worried about Ellie May travelling over to Aintree and just not running. And then they say,
yeah,
"Oh,
she travelled over the week before though, and then it got cancelled, so she has to travel back and then travel back over again.
Yeah, but they mentioned it before that she's not the best traveller because she flopped at like behind Roxana in the Mare's Hurdle a while back, and they said she had a similar thing there.
You can't trust them.
Yeah, you can't trust the women. That's true. Right, Ian, John. Surely it's only between those two. Ian, you go next.
A Concertista for me, same as you. So I was just
Yes, get in there. My favourite of the Cheltenham Exchange. John?
John's against both of us.
Yeah, I'm going left field again. I've not really got into this race. Like you say, Dave, it's crap. But I'm going for Mount Ida. I can't have Ellie May. I don't think she finds anything in a battle. Like last year, she got outdone by Colreevy, didn't she? And I can't see that changing. So Mount Ida's already beaten Ellie May this year, giving her £3 as well. So, you know, I can't see them reversing the form. Just to touch on Mount Ida, I said she won the plate before, but it wasn't. It was a Kim Muir she won last year, wasn't it? Just to put that straight. But yeah, so she's got obviously course and distance form. So I can't see past her. The other one that I'd like to see here, and now this depends on if Long Press runs well in the Turners, then the Glancing Queen wasn't far behind him last time at Cheltenham. So if he runs well, I'd be inclined to have a little each way double on the Glancing Queen in this as well. There was a bit of a form-related sort of bet, but yeah, Mount Ida for me. I think she'll win. I think you know, quite a confident one. This one for me.
Nice. Well, I think that's just typical of a mares race, isn't it? That we've all fairly confident, but on different horses. We will move on to the pièce de résistance. The getting out the shit stakes, the Martin Pike, where no doubt I'll end up backing 7 or 8 of them at prices. Langerdam's obviously the stand-up one after the form from last year, and Skelton says he's pretty happy with him, etc. You all know that I've backed the Goffer. There are a few that potentially could interest me, but I like the way you're thinking. I've already mentioned him. Like whatever race he runs in, I'll have a couple of quid on him. But I'm sticking with the Goffer as it is. We'll have to see what mark he gets tomorrow, won't we? Because no one knows what that could be yet. But he could be well in.
I reckon he gets about 136 myself.
1-3. That's a good guess. I'll take that.
That would 136, 137. That we would just scrape in.
Happy days then. Let's scrape in the bottom. Let's hope Gordo runs him. Right. Obviously, I liked that one, but it was more the value-y, statty, edgy angle, very low risk, despite me sticking a few quid on. John, is there anything you've looked at in the race that you like?
Yeah, I like the Goffer as well now. Actually, after you put us onto him, so I had a dabble on him as well. So yeah, I think he looked pretty good. It was he won well, didn't he? And as long as he doesn't get hammered, then you know he'll have a very good each way shout in it. As you said, Dave, Langerdam, he's the obvious one, isn't he? He didn't look to be trying that hard, did he, last week? He sort of held up at the back and didn't really find an awful lot. Maybe got one fake whip and, you know, he just sort of hung in there, didn't he? Doesn't want to blow his mark. The other one I like is, again, it's Elliott again, and I know he's got a decent record again in this, is Chemical Energy. Now, he's been kept away since November, so he's been off the track quite a while. But again, I think that's purely to keep his mark intact because he's only on 132. So he's not going to, he might only get £3 or £4. I think he'll be on a really, really good mark for this. And again, you know, if he sticks like a Rob James on it or something like that, then, you know, be a decent booking. So yeah, I'm going to go with Chemical Energy, but definitely the Goffer each way as well.
Or the Goffer, Ian. You're very friendly. You'll be nice about the Goffer, right?
No, I was very impressed with the Goffer. I've not backed it yet, but I need to. But that was a cracking shout. I'm gutted I missed the price, but I have backed Langerdam at 16-1. I can't say I've really looked into this race, so I don't really have much for you other than to say that I've backed Langerdam in a minute, and obviously getting chucked in again. Galloping Deschamps beat him last year, so that could go in his favour. And see, as John said, little trot round in his last race, comes 6 out of 6, but yeah, it could be well in. But I wouldn't say I've really looked into this race.
Yeah, it does tend to be one of those races where some horses just fall into it depending on their ratings, and it's one to look at nearer the time, isn't it? Unless you're on the Goffer, of course. Matt, what's your thoughts on the race?
I did like Chemical Energy. I agree with John. I think he's been put away to protect his mark. But then you come out with your video and fuck it, all aboard the Goffer.
Yeah. What a day it will be. Imagine it. Imagine the Goffer actually. Imagine he even runs to begin with. It's a fluke. He won't win, will he? Surely we can get negative about him now.
Imagine
No.
Ticks everything, by the way.
I know he does. He's an absolute animal. He wins, doesn't he? He wins the lot.
Dave's going back.
When your video come out the other day, I was like, right, he was his bet. Let's have a look.
The thing is, it was one of them that I mentioned it to a handful of people, And 2 or 3 of them were like they couldn't have it because it's not the typical classy one that's potentially gone out and done it. But you never know they're classy till after. And it's just Gordo, isn't it? The ones that are running that race and run at Cheltenham, both of them have won. So might as well just get 3 in a row. And surely Fat Gordo is going to be setting some handicap winners up for this year because he wants to come back with a vengeance.
That's going to be where his winners come from, isn't it, Gordo?
Yeah, he wants to come back with a bang, doesn't he, this year after what happened last year? So I think he'll be really keyed up on all these races.
Yeah, so I think he'll run a few in the race. Chemical Energy, I think the layoff's the worry with him, isn't it? Because I think most of them have run in recent days, like 33 days or something. But he did say earlier in the season that was a horse being targeted at the race, wasn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, he's got form behind my mate Mozzie as well, wasn't he? He was 10 lengths behind him as well last November. So again, if my mate Mozzie runs well in the county, you're looking at a related bet on this, aren't you? Well, so.
Yeah, and that's where it does pay dividends, doesn't it? Because you get the benefit of the first few days of racing, and it can help us with the handicaps after. Right, I feel like we're done unless anyone's got any final words.
No, I just can't wait for the festival now.
No, bring it on now, isn't it?
2 weeks to go.
I can't wait. Right, well, thank you all for your time this evening, and I will catch you again soon.